Hi everyone, Ulf here from Modeling in Scale. Today we're going to look at how I paint and weather the Elefant tank hunter for Flames of War by Battlefront. As always, I begin the painting process with a primer. I undercoat the model using grey surface primer and my go-to brand is Camo by MIG. After a good 24-hour drying time, I move on to base paint with Dunkelgelbs. I use the three Dunkelgelbs from Camo by MIG Jimenez 1943-45 German set for war games. First I cover the whole model with Dunkelgelb base. Then I move on to zenithal lighting by adding Dunkelgelb light base, spraying it from the top. Lastly I apply Dunkelgelb highlight to hatches and some panels. To lift details a little bit more, I dry brush edges and raise surfaces with medium German yellow. Next I add camo stripes with RAL 6003 olivgrün or olivgrün. Then I paint the tracks using dark tracks. Time for decals. I apply microgloss to the places where I will put decals. Then I use microsol and microset to apply them. Once dry, I seal them with another coat of microgloss. After some 24 hours, it is time to protect the model with a coat of satin varnish. This I do to protect the acrylics from the weathering steps that we follow, where I use enamels and oils. To start off the weathering process, I begin with the tracks. They get a wash of Camo by MIG's Tracks wash. Then I move on to filters. For this model I opted for brown for dark yellow. The next step is pinwashing. This I do with brown wash for German dark yellow. After 10 to 15 minutes I remove excess wash with cotton swabs, leaving wash only in recesses. We move on to chipping. Using a fine brush and sponge I apply Dunkelgelb highlights to edges and hatches. Some of the scratches and chippings are made to look deeper by applying chipping, Camo by MIG number 0044 with a fine brush. Then I go back to adding some more washes, this time light rust wash to a few nooks and crannies. Moving on, using streaking brushes, I add random vertical streaks to the vertical panels. After 10 to 15 minutes, I use a wide brush, moistening in white spirit to blend and remove excess streaks. Then we'll go to the pigment step. Here I use the pigments Rubble, Light Dust and Europe Earth to add dust and dirt effects. Once I'm happy with where the dust is at, I add pigment fixer to make it stay. The tracks I first dab randomly with Nature Effect Kirk Soil using an old brush. While it is still wet, I sprinkle Dark Earth and Europe Earth pigments on it. To seal it, I once again use pigment fixer. Time for splashes. Using a toothpick, I fling off tiny drops of dry step splashes from an old brush to achieve the effect of textured dry soil. To finish off the model, I add a black pigment as soot on the gun muzzle, and with some CA, I also glue some fine leaf light green foliage by Woodland Scenics to the hull. Now it is ready to do some serious tank hunting.